All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. If anybody comes in, they can go a little bit late. How's everybody doing today?
Good. How are you?
Oh,
Good,
not doing too bad. I'm in my truck
good.
because I'm kind of, I guess, on location. I guess we're going to go through a little bit of a tractor. So we're going to try this Zoom thing out. We're going to see how this stuff works. It's definitely a little bit different. Is everybody enjoying this? I guess, or kind of making do with what it is, or
For some classes, I'm enjoying it, but for this class, I'd rather be in person.
I trust me, I
Same.
would too. I would definitely rather be in person. But it is what it is. The nice thing is, um, you know, Jared, I actually might use you to help me with some of the things if we can get some videos and stuff. So you might actually, because you work on campus, you might have a little bit of an advantage. Kind of help me out with a couple of things. Um, the nice thing though is that we are going to be able to take some videos and do some things. But today what we've got is a little tractor and a little worksheet that I've actually posted this worksheet on Canvas. I'm going to go ahead and share that right now with you guys, and we're just going to kind of go through this, and then I'm going to have you guys kind of do a little activity that goes with this. So we're not going to spend the full time on the Zoom meeting. I'm going to kind of go through the tractor with you, kind of explain this little checklist that we've got. Some of you have probably seen this before. I think at least 3 of you have, but same kind of standard thing, but we're going to see, if we can maybe try to simulate as best we can what we'd be doing in person. But right now, I'm going to go ahead and share this document here with you guys. So this document is what we call our pre-operational checks. This is what we do on all equipment before we operate. We're going to spend a little bit of time. We're going to go through it. I've got a little New Holland tractor over here that we're going to actually take a look at and try to find some of the things that are on there. There's a whole list of stuff that we're going to do with this. We're going to check the engine oil, the hydraulic, transmission, the coolant level, the fuel level. Some of these things we don't know. Legitimately, I just went out to this tractor about 20 minutes ago and, just kind of made sure that, I kind of knew where things were at. Doesn't really take that long to kind of find out. They're pretty standard on a lot of tractors. You'll notice on this sheet that I have here, there are some things that are kind of crossed out. And those things that are crossed out is because I'm going to have you guys do a check on these things. But instead of a tractor, because I recognize that most of you probably don't have a tractor that you can do these checks on, but I'm going to have you do a check on your own vehicle. So you're going to kind of check, the engine oil on your vehicle. You're going to check, your coolant level. And a lot of these are going to be similar to a tractor as they are a car. The one thing I don't want you to do when we actually go through and we actually do this stuff is if you have to like unbolt something, or if it's a lot of work, sometimes air filters, things like that, can be a pain on tractors. It's a couple of clips, and I'll show you that here in a second. I don't want you to have to like undo anything, so just kind of put NA if we have that. But we should be able to kind of check, tire pressures and different things. Again, it's very similar to a tractor. If you have access to a tractor, my recommendation is that you do this to a tractor. On the very top here, we can kind of just label these things. If it's a car, put the make and the model of the car. If it's a tractor, because you have access to one, it would be better to do this on a tractor. The hours or mileage if you want, the date, and then put your name down, by inspected by. So that way we know kind of what it is. The tractor equipment number is kind of relevant to Fresno State, so you don't really need to put anything down with that. But basically, we're going to go through and we're going to do a little bit of a checks. I'll show you on the tractor where these things are at. With a vehicle, it's obviously going to be, a lot of it's going to be under the hood. You can kind of check it. Again, it's going to be very similar to, what you see from a tractor to a vehicle. If you have a tractor, though, the ones that are crossed out, still do those ones on the tractor. If you don't have one, you don't even need to worry about it, because cars aren't going to have, cleats on their tires. And I'll show you what the cleats are here in a little bit. They're not going to have 3-point hitch pins. They're not going to have a drawbar, or they're not going to have a PTO. So those things are irrelevant. We're really kind of focused on that first little part today, but there are some other checks that you can do as well. The operational checks, like, is your oil pressure good? That's simply looking at a gauge. Be the same thing like on a tractor. Engine temperature when it's running. Do the brakes work? You know, things that we're going to want to check. How is the steering? Does it feel, you know, kind of clunky, or, you know, is it operating like it should? Um, and then the post-operation checks are obviously going to be, you know, do we have a clean, you know, tractor or a clean car? Do we have, you know, any kind of safety concerns? Did you notice anything that was wrong, leaks, noises? And is there any kind of maintenance required? It's really the same process that we're going to do on a tractor. But at Fresno State, what we do is we actually go through these checks. Well, students should be doing these checks every time they operate. And although we might spend a little bit of time today, it's pretty much the same. You know, it pretty much will take a couple minutes to kind of do a lot of these things. Once you get kind of used to it, you know where things are at on the tractor. So when I let you guys go today, your goal is, you know, by next week, it doesn't necessarily have to be right now, but by next week, fill out this sheet for a car that you drive, or a car that you have access to, or a tractor. If you have that, preferably that would be better. And you're going to do these checks. We're going to go through, and I'm going to try to switch to my phone because right now I'm on my laptop. I'm going to switch to my phone, and hopefully we don't have a whole lot of audio issues and stuff. But let me know if we, you know, don't have anything, if stuff's not working right. Let's see. I'm going to stop sharing this thing. You guys have access to this in your Canvas accounts, so you should be able to see this, and there's an assignment that's already posted. So I'm going to go ahead and mute myself on my computer here. Okay, we're going to try this again. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
All right, perfect.
Yeah.
I apologize for all the loud noises that you might have heard, or maybe that was just on my end, but technology, we got to work on getting it set up. Okay, so anywho, so we're going to go through, I'm going to kind of flip this video around here so that way we can kind of see the tractor that we're working with. I'll maybe do a side view that might be better for a lot of you there. So we've just got a little New Holland tractor here that we're going to be kind of going through. And we've got that little list, and I've kind of got, you know, just a paper copy of this list right there. First things first, we're going to go through the engine oil. Okay, now typically the engine oil, right, it's obviously going to be up in the front. We've got the hood that's kind of lifted up right here. And on the Kubota's tractors, on these New Holland tractors, they're pretty much going to be in the same spot. For us, we're actually going to be looking right down here. Sometimes there's a little pin that you just pull. In this case, we can actually just undo this cap. And if we undo that cap, you can see there's a little dipstick on this stuff. Okay, and that dipstick is where we're going to be able to test this oil out. See if I can get this thing in here. I got a rag. Basically going to wipe that stuff down. You can put that back in. Try to give you guys the best view as I can. We'll put that back in there, and then we can undo it. We wipe it down to make sure that if there's anything that's kind of sitting on there, we can just kind of make sure that it wasn't like from up high from the engine running. This thing's been off for a little while. You can see there's a little max there. You can see there's a little minimum where it's kind of getting exposed right there. The engine oil on this is within that range. As long as it's within that range, we're good. One thing you might notice on this, though, on this tractor, is that that oil is pretty dark. If you check most like cars, gasoline cars and stuff, you're going to see a really kind of clear oil. On tractors, it's not going to be the same. Diesels, whether that be a diesel truck or anything like that, it has a high compression, and so you're going to end up having oil that is going to be a little bit darker because there is what we call blow-by by the rings on this engine. So any kind of dark oil on your engine oil, if it's a diesel engine, is perfectly acceptable. That's kind of what you want to see. Some things that you might be looking for, especially on the new engine, is there any kind of metal shavings in there? Is, you know, the oil too high? Is it too low? On this one, it's in good condition. We would basically just check this off the list and say, yep, we're good to go. We've got our oil. These things should be checked daily before every operation that we have. Hydraulic oil, typically on tractors, it's going to be your transmission and your hydraulic oil are going to be connected together. If it's a vehicle, you're not going to have hydraulic oil. It's just going to be transmission oil. Sometimes on some tractors, there's little sight lines that are kind of placed right in here, kind of in line with the transmission. And you just do a visual inspection. You don't even need to pull a dipstick. On this one, we're actually going to go to the back of the tractor here. In the back of this tractor, if you kind of look on this right-hand side, there's a little dipstick that's right there. That is going to be for our oil, for hydraulic oil. Same kind of thing. We're going to wipe these things down. We're going to put that back in. And I don't know if this is going to show up on this video or not. This oil is going to be pretty clean. You should not see any dirt at all in there. And we have a little bit, you can kind of, I don't know if you can see where my finger's at right now. No, you can't. Let's see. Right here, there's some oil right up in there, and there's that little notch right there. This stuff is clean. It should not be dirty. It doesn't have that blow-by the engine, so we shouldn't have any issues with that. If you have some dirty oil, if you've got some stuff in there, okay, we probably need to drain that transmission fluid and take it out. In this case, it's good. Way transmission fluid gets dirty, we've got these little hydraulic lines that are right here, and you can see there's some of them that have a lot of dirt around them. They should have these little dust caps on there to keep dust when you're operating that tractor from getting into those hydraulic lines. Before you connect any hydraulic lines, it's a good idea to take a rag and kind of wipe the inside of these fittings and the outside of the hydraulic line that you are putting into it to make sure that you're not going to introduce any dirt. The inside of these lines, okay, connects into your transmission and your hydraulic oil, and that's how you're going to get that contamination. So carrying a rag to wipe that stuff down is going to be kind of a critical thing. Hydraulic oil is clean. It's within that level. There's no markings on there. There's just that notch. We can check that stuff off. Are we doing okay so far? You guys there still? Yes. All right. Is this looking okay? Do I need to change things? Am I moving around too much, or help me out?
Good.
Okay. For those of you that have seen this stuff before, is this looking pretty good? Because I know you guys have a better experience. Okay, so on the front of this tractor here, we have our coolant. Now there's kind of two things. We've got our little radiator right here, but it's important that we don't ever open up this radiator, especially if that tractor, well, we can open it up, but if that tractor had just recently ran, this stuff could be hot and this stuff could explode on you. Okay, so you don't want to do that at all. You can see, oh, that's an ether thing. Oh, right here. Cooling system operates under high pressure. Okay, you can see that little warning sign. Most tractors, unless it's a little bit older, are going to have a little reservoir tank right here. And that reservoir, this is kind of like your overflow tank. So This is where you're going to kind of look at your coolant. You don't need to open anything up. You don't need to check it. You can simply look, and you can kind of, hopefully you guys can see that level right there. That little line is where it says max. Okay, as long as you've got some in this one, some of them they're a little bigger, they're designed a little different, but they're always going to have some sort of markings. I would say on this one, because we can see fluid and we're not above that max line, we're good. This stuff needs to have that extra space in there. It's not going to be completely filled, because as this stuff heats up, okay, it's going to expand this stuff a little bit. And so it needs that room for expansion. So that way it doesn't come and pour out and lose that. So it kind of accounts for that. So don't think these tanks, because they're not completely full to the top, that there's something wrong. They're designed that way to have an overflow. So on this one, our coolant is good. We don't need to worry about that. Oop, blocking you guys' view. So our fuel level, awesome. I just dropped my clipboard. Let's see. Sorry if I'm jostling you around right now. So fuel level, obviously we're going to kind of check this stuff on the front side. This is not as like critical, but it's something that you need to kind of check when you are kind of going through these things before you're going to operate. I don't even know where the fuel level's at. Oh, it's right here. Let's see if I can get you behind the steering wheel. So on this thing, looks like we've got a full tank of fuel. So we're good to go. If we were going to be operating this, we wouldn't need to do anything else. Let's see. Set you guys down for just a second. So the other thing, the next thing that we're going to kind of look at, right, if we got our fuel levels good, is going to be our air cleaner. Okay, and on these tractors, they're going to be a little bit easier probably than what you're going to have as far as like your vehicle goes. So sometimes the vehicles, I know in my truck, I have to like unbolt stuff. These ones have just these little clips that you can flip up and you can pull these air cleaners off. Okay. There's a little dust cap at that bottom. You can see some dust coming out of that. That's okay. That means this thing is doing its job. I'll try to get this thing out. Every once in a while, you want to kind of clear that. And sometimes that's kind of what we're looking for. Maybe you can see how much dust is coming out of there. This stuff is going to basically take the air as it's sucking it in. It's going to kind of swirl it around. Any kind of heavy particulates that are in the air or that get sucked in the tractor gets, you know, kind of flown around here through centrifugal force, and it gets collected down the bottom. That dust cap, you simply just open it up, okay, and the dust is going to come out. Now, tractors are going to have typically a couple filters. They're going to vary from tractor to tractor. Okay, on this one, we actually have our primary filter right here. You'll notice there's a little bit of dust on the front side. Okay, but the back side of this thing is clean. That's what you want to see. On the inside, you can see there is a secondary filter. Okay, as long as there is not dirt between these two, we're good to go. If this thing was completely caked with mud, that would restrict the airflow of this. That would restrict the airflow of this in the tractor. It would cause this tractor to overheat, and you would have some issues. At that point, when this thing gets clogged, is when you would want to replace it. A lot of times, if you've ever gone to, you know, the oil change store and they tell you, oh, your air filter's dirty. Well, if it's got a little bit of stuff, it's not that big of a deal, right? If it's completely clogged, then yeah, you probably need to change it. But, you know, if it's got some dirt on there, that means that it's doing its job. It's doing what it needs to do. This air filter is good. One thing with air filters that you never want to do, okay, some people, and I see this quite a bit, some people want to take an air filter and they want to blow it out with an airline. These filters are not designed to do that. If they are dirty, you can simply tap them against the side of a tire to kind of knock all that extra dirt off of there. Especially right now, we've got like almond harvest that's going on in a lot of places. It's a very dusty environment. It will collect a lot on those filters. You don't want to be changing those things every day. You want to basically go through and just kind of knock those filters off. If you're doing something that's not really that dusty, okay, you may not need to check that very often, but a good indication to check if it's dusty is literally just hit that dust cap down there. And if you get a bunch of dirt coming out, you may need to at least kind of knock those filters off or clean those filters off. Okay, there's a good chance that that might happen. Let's see. So our air filter is good. Clean grill and radiator screen. Let's see if we can get a shot on the inside. So we've got a little coolant screen right here, and we've got our radiator that's kind of back behind there. You might be able to see if we can get this thing focused. There's a little bit of dirt kind of on the bottom of this, okay? But for the most part, we're pretty good. Some of that stuff, we maybe want to kind of clear that stuff off. If it gets too bad and that stuff covers that whole screen right there, that coolant system is not going to be cooling down the tractor like it should be doing. So making sure that those things are cleaned, whether that's taking a pressure washer, whether it's taking your hand, getting it in there when this stuff is cool, because it will be hot if you just ran it. But if you just, kind of hose that stuff down, that's going to be probably the easiest way to make sure that these screens are clean and that you're going to have that airflow that you need for this stuff to work. So we'll go ahead and, I don't know if I can reach in there, knock a little bit of that stuff off. See if you guys can see that. Yeah. Hose would probably be the best way. If we had an issue, I'm trying not to get my hand over this thing. If we had an issue, so we've got the clean grill and radiator screen, let's say a little dirt, right, on there, just make a little bit of a note and just kind of say, okay, you know what, we've got a little bit of an issue that maybe we need to address. Okay, if it's something you can address right away, then do that. This is something that, I don't know, I probably maybe should have blocked off on yours because you don't really have safety shields, but the safety shields that we're really kind of concerned with on a tractor are going to be in the back. There's a little PTO, and you can see we've got an aero fan that's connected to this tractor right now. This PTO has little safety guards in place. This thing will just freely spin. There is a little safety chain that we have on here that keeps that from spinning around. This is going to, prevent that wrap point where if I had a loose piece of clothing, it could get caught up into there. It could pull me in and wrap me around, cause me to lose my arm or my life. We don't want that. The other thing that we have, you see this guard that's up here. This guard really should be in the down position like that. And you notice if we lift this thing up, it exposes that little joint there where that PTO connects in to our tractor right there. It lifts up so that way you can adjust it when you're operating it. Notice how we can't really get stuff in there. That's a pretty simple thing sometimes, just flipping that thing down. Not too complicated, not too hard, but it should be down when we are operating these things. That's pretty much most of the time, that's the guards that we're kind of concerned with on these tractors. Again, you're probably not going to have any kind of guard on your vehicle, so I don't know if I mark that off, but if it doesn't apply to your vehicle, then don't do that. Let's see if we can go around and check our brakes. So a tractor, again, this one's going to be different from your car because a tractor is going to actually have 2 tires and it's going to have 2 sets of brakes. And basically what we're doing with these brakes, there's a little lock right here that if we're operating this stuff on the road, we lock them together. And if I push them down, they're going to move together. Sometimes I might be operating on a road or operating in the dirt. If you're on the road, they should be locked. If you're operating in a field, you might need to make a quick turn, in which case you would have these things unlocked and you would push one brake down to get you to turn a little bit quicker, or you'd push the other. What we're looking for on here is for these brakes to travel the same distance before you really get kind of that resistance. It looks like they are. I don't know if you can see that very well, but it looks like these things are traveling pretty much the same distance. If you had one that traveled a lot longer, when you lock these things together, for one to engage, it would take longer. And if you're driving down the road, it would lock one tire up and not the other, and it could cause you to get into a wreck. So our brake tires are the same. Your car tires, there should be labels on your car tires that'll tell you what your PSI is. You may not be able to check that if you don't have a little gauge. If you don't have a gauge, you probably should have one in your vehicle. And it depends from tire to tire. My truck tires, I've got a Chevy 2500. It can run from 60 to 70, even up to 80 PSI. A lot of small cars, they run 35 PSI. Some of these tractor tires we're running, even though it's a pretty big tire, we typically run about 15 PSI. But on tractor tires, all we do is a visual inspection. We don't actually take a gauge to it. And depending on whether or not it's a radial or a bias ply tire, real quick, I'll show you kind of these numbers right here. on these numbers, we're not concerned with these things. They'll have to do with the size, the width, the rim size, and all that kind of stuff. We're worried about in those numbers, is there an R or not? If there's an R, it means it's a radial tire, okay? And I think we'll talk about what radial tire, well, maybe not in this class. I don't know, maybe we will. We'll see what radial tires are and stuff. But understand that if it's got an R on it, okay, it's a radial tire, and we should have 3 cleats touching the ground. That's going to be those little pieces that are there. I don't know if you guys can see that very well, but it looks like we have about 3 cleats on there. We check all the other tires. Not all tires are going to be the same, especially at Fresno State. Oops, covering you guys up again. Some of them might be a little bit different, and these ones, there's an R down here, kind of upside down. These are radials. Looks like those ones have 3. We'll go around, we check the other side. Okay, maybe a little bit much, but looks like there's pretty close to 3 there. This one, okay, looks like we got 3 of them touching the ground there. So our tires are all good. For your vehicles, you don't have to take a little pressure gauge to it. Look at it. You know, if you're looking at your tires, I'll go to my truck here real quick. If you see, you know, they're kind of collapsing on that sidewall quite a bit, you might want to add some air into those tires. Okay, so just do a visual inspection. Things that we should be checking all the time. All right, seatbelt is operational and functional in your cars. I hope that none of you have a seatbelt that doesn't work. In tractors, sometimes we find them. So we've got a little seatbelt right here. See if we can find the other end. If these things are really dusty, it's probably not a good indication they're being used. Seatbelt works, clips in there, that functions, that extends out. We're good with that. Let's see. We're going to do a couple different things on this tractor while I'm sitting up here to kind of save it. It's not necessarily in the same order, but we want to make sure that your operator seat functions. You can adjust these things up and down. You can move that. That stuff's not an issue. The one thing that we're going to check is our safety start system. Now, on this tractor, I've got my little key. I've got my left and right brakes right here. Okay, that right there, that's a little throttle response. So if you want to go faster, you can hit that. And on this side, I'm going to have my clutch, and that's going to be pretty standard from every tractor. So you've got your clutch right here. Okay, that's going to prevent you from basically, it's going to disengage the engine from the transmission. So if you don't want to go anywhere, you've got to hold that clutch in. These things are not like a manual transmission in a vehicle, but we're going to check out the safety start system and see. Sometimes it's the seat, sometimes it's your foot on the clutch. I'm not going to put my foot on the clutch, but I am sitting down. Notice how when I turn this key, nothing happens. Okay, the reason nothing is happening is because I need to basically have my foot on the clutch. Okay, and that's that safety start system. So it's not allowing me to start the engine without my foot completely depressing this clutch. Now we're going to test this out. Okay, you guys hear how that started? So that is, okay, our safety start system. We're good there. We're going to kind of check some of our gauges here while we're up here. We want to check our blinkers. You can see that one's blinking right there. Maybe try to get behind. Okay, our left, our right. Okay, I don't know where the hazards are at on this thing. Looks like our little parking brake is on. Our parking brake is actually going to be right here. You release that, you push that little button in, push that handle down, that parking brake light comes out. To engage it, pull it up, you can see that light kind of clicks on. We've got a couple other lights because this engine's not on. It's saying our oil temperature and our batteries not good, but those things, obviously we just started it, so we shouldn't have that. We checked the oil, so we're good there. So the operator seat, the safety starter, the indicators, the turn lights, we can actually check these turn lights too. Let me do that. All these ones are going to be in the back. You want to check the lights, make sure that they're working there. We'll check the other ones as well. So those ones are working. And then right here, we can check our hazards. Right there, if we put those on, yeah, should be our hazards there. And then both of these lights should be blinking. So those things are all functional, those are operational. Again, some of this stuff we can go through and we can run through it pretty quickly. Good. Do we see any leaks? Anything that's out there? There's a little bit of oil drop under there. I don't know if you guys can see that, but that's from when I pulled that dipstick out. This tractor's been sitting here, I think, since this weekend, so don't really see anything underneath there. Nothing that looks out of the ordinary, so we're good to go there. Danger and warning signs. Now this one, this little sign right here, there should be a little slow-moving vehicle sign. And it may not be there because we have this aerofan attached, and it's probably not necessary, but typically each tractor is going to have one of those, and we're going to leave those things on in place. Each equipment's going to have one. So we're going to go to the back of this aerofan. Yeah, see, we don't have, there's no slow-moving vehicle sign, which is going to be a little triangle, orange triangle, that's going to tell anybody that's driving on the road that this vehicle does not move very fast. You need to be careful. So on here, we're going to say NA, because it's gone. Well, not applicable. No, we're going to say that it's gone, and we need to replace that. Okay, so on this thing, we need to replace that. Our operator station, we've got a water bottle, we've got a couple gloves. I'd say for the most part, it's probably fairly clean. Correct 3-point hitch pins. We don't have, these are going to be our 3-point hitch pins. You got your left, you got your right one that's completely missing on this tractor. I don't know if you can see that. There's a screw that we go on. There's the lower linkage part right there for the sway bar. And our top link, we just have the drawbar. So our drawbar is good. We've got a pin in there. We've got a little lock underneath. This thing is not going to be tight, and it shouldn't be. On the 3 points, they are going to be tight. So on the drawbar here, we shouldn't have that. Our PTO, we kind of looked at that. That stuff's nice and secured. All those guards are in place. We're good to go with that. Proper PTO setup, correct drawbar. See if I can get you guys situated here. And then safety chain for trailing equipment. So if we're driving this on the road, we want a safety chain that runs from the equipment to the tractor. This one basically just stays right here, doesn't drive on the road. We don't need to worry about that. That's if we're hauling it down quite a ways. I'm not going to go through the operational checks. We're not going to actually operate this thing. If this is for a vehicle that you're doing, feel free if you want to kind of check those things off. What I'm more concerned with you guys getting done is these checks up here on the front. Okay, that's what I'm kind of concerned with. That's what I really want you guys to focus on, is getting those things done. What questions do you guys have on this tractor? Anything? Inside. All right. What questions do we have on this tractor? On the checklist here. I know some of you have seen this already. Some of you may have not. Phone's dropping. Got a mess here. Let's see.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you are missing transmission fluid, do you pour it through the back side or through the front side?
Yeah, so on there, there's a little opening, and typically it's going to be in the back. On most tractors, it's in the back side, and just like you remember on like the front of the engine there, where we pulled that whole cap off. Some tractors are going to have a pin where the engine oil's at, and they're going to have a fill. That one was a fill and a dipstick. Some tractors are the same way, where the dipstick is in with the fill. On that one, the dipstick was separate. The fill was up a little bit higher there. I am recording this, so I will post this stuff up. So as we kind of go through and you can kind of see that, you can identify those parts again on there, so that way you kind of know what they look like. It's going to vary from tractor to tractor, but you know, for the most part, you know, most of the tractors that I've seen, the fill station for the hydraulic or the transmission, it's hydraulic and transmission fluid. It's, you know, for the most part, it's in the back. I have seen some that are up kind of underneath where the driver operation station is at, but most of the time they're in the back.
Thank you.
What other questions do you guys have? All right, do we understand what I want you to do by next week? Okay, so when you fill out this little operation stuff, you don't, like I said, you don't have to do it today. You can spend some time right now, because you guys technically have 2 hours that you're supposed to be in this class, but I don't care if you get it done or now or later, but just by next week, if you can fill out that little thing. If you've got access to a tractor, do it to a tractor, the pre-operation checks. If you don't, then do it on a vehicle. If you don't have a vehicle, you know, maybe, you know, use somebody's vehicle, you know that you can do it with. I feel like most people have that. If you don't have access to any of that stuff, let me know and we can work out, you know, something else for you to do. But I feel like most of you will be able to do that. If you can't find something, you can't access it, you can either take a picture, you can send it to me, you know, and I might be able to help you out. That way you can try to find that stuff. It'd be good, especially if you have a vehicle, to know where all those points are at, because those are things that you as an operator should do. Again, it's no different than it is on a tractor, but most people probably don't check their own vehicle, let alone the tractors that they're operating.
So basically just a sheet we fill out and then just kind of upload it to that assignment you opened up, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So you should be able to download, because there's a link to that assignment or to that the pre-operation checks. And I think some people have trouble sometimes doing like check marks and stuff, like in you know, in a Word document or something. You can highlight it if it's good. Highlight it if you have issues, you know, on something. Then make, you know, mark it down, type that down in there. There is, and that kind of reminds me of one thing, one issue that we may have. So I want to let you know right now. When you do this, it is a Word document. Some of you may not have Word on your computers. If you don't, let's say you have a Mac, okay? If you have a Mac, you can download, or you can upload it, I guess, into a Word document, and it will transition over into the Mac side of things. I don't know what it's called. Like, it's not Pages. Maybe it's Pages. I don't know. If you are on the Mac side of things,
Hey, Professor, you're muted.
okay, there we go. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to do that. Okay, so if you are working with a Mac computer, you can upload the Word document into Mac. You can edit it. You can do what you need to. When you go to save it, I believe it's an export. You can export it as a Word document. Please do that before you upload it, because I cannot access Mac stuff on my phone, on my computer, or on anything. It just kind of messes it up. I have a PC, so Mac documents, I can't do that. But in any Mac document, you can save it as a Word document. So you can upload a Word document, you can edit it, and then you can export it as a Word document and then upload that Word document. I tend to have a lot of issues with students doing that. So if you happen to upload it and I can't view it, I'm gonna send you a message and I'm gonna let you know. Even if it's past the due date, I don't care. I'm very flexible on that. I just would like you guys to get this stuff done by next week, so that way we can, you know, do that. We can grade it if we need to talk about things or whatever. This one's pretty simple. It's pretty basic, and there's not a whole lot to it. Some things we might have, they might get a little bit more complicated. If you don't have a Word document and you don't have an Apple computer, you're going to have Google Docs. Google Docs, I have not figured out how to connect it with Canvas very well yet. I know there's a way. I don't know if Fresno State's allowed it, or I just haven't figured it out. But the easiest way in a Google Doc, again, you can upload a Word document into Google Docs. You can edit it. Google Docs does change the formatting, sometimes, but we can work around that. When you download that, don't try to share the Google Doc with me, because for some reason it like messes up and I can't access it either. Just download it as a Word document. Google will allow you to do that. Save that Word document and then upload that document. Does that make sense?
Can we just print it and then scan it back?
You can absolutely do that. Yeah, if you want to print it and you want to mark on it, handwritten, and yeah, you can scan it with your phone and you can upload it that way. There's no limitations on that. I can see like pictures and stuff, so that's not an issue. It's really the Google Docs and the Apple, whatever the Pages or whatever that is in Apple. Those are the ones that you'll upload something, and I could see that you've uploaded it, but I just can't view anything. It's just a blank page for me. There's nothing on there. So yeah, if you want to do a video or a picture of it, absolutely, that'll work. What questions do we have?
I have a question.
Okay.
So if there's something on the sheet that doesn't apply to our car, should we just leave it, like not check anything? Okay.
And on that one, I'm gonna try to show you this one here. Okay, I kind of marked the red there. That's the same thing. In fact, I think I still have it on my screen here. Let me go back to that.
Okay.
Was it this one? I think it was this one. Yeah. So on the screen that I'm sharing right now, this is the document that I believe I should have shared with you. If I didn't, I can share it. But notice how I kind of crossed out the left and right brakes, because that doesn't apply to a car. This should be the sheet that you got. Tire inflation, right? You're not going to have cleats on your tires like you are on a tractor tire. I didn't want to completely eliminate them, because if somebody does have access to a tractor, I'd like you to just kind of check these things. Oh, you know what? I just realized I didn't go through the ROPS system. That is the ROPS is a rollover protection system. And there's a little bar that's kind of on the front under that hood. I don't know if you can you see that kind of, behind that hood there, that black part? That is, I'm sharing my screen. I might help if I stop this. Let's do this. And let's go spotlight my video. Okay. So I don't know if you guys can see that tractor there, but that little black part kind of behind that hood there, that's going to be our rollover protection. Sometimes it's behind the seat. If the rollover protection system is up, you need to make sure that you are wearing a seatbelt. If the rollover protection system is down or it doesn't exist, you don't wear a seatbelt at all, because you want to get thrown from the tractor. I do have some videos that I'm going to try to show you guys. If I can try to get them, we have like a CD form. I don't know how that's going to work, getting them on a computer, but some safety videos. They're good. They're old, but they're good. And I'll try to get those things uploaded. The other thing, before I forget, I posted a little worksheet in Canvas as well. And what I'm going to try to do is do everything by like a weekly basis. I'll have a little PowerPoint slide, and I'll do a video of that, later on this week that you guys can look at as well. But every week I'm going to have, things that I want you to kind of get done. So, activities, whether that's the lab activity or the lecture stuff where you have to, watch videos or do stuff. But I posted a little document that you can look at. And it's got a bunch of safety things on it. We're going to cover a lot of that, but if you want to kind of review some of those things and just kind of go over that just a little bit, kind of here and there, there's a ton of information there, but I just wanted to post that to get those things set up. But we'll go through and kind of talk about some general safety on some different things with the tractors. Let's see. We'll cancel that one because we don't need that up there anymore. Okay. What other questions do we have? All right. So if you guys have nothing, I'm gonna set you guys free. I'll let you guys work on that stuff. I will have some safety stuff posted later on this week. Again, just kind of do it at your own leisure. And if you guys need anything, let me know. Send me an email, call me. I put my phone number, my cell phone number. So if you want to text me if you got something. That's a quick way to get a hold of me. And I'll try to answer your questions as quickly as possible and help you out. So if you guys
So
have
we don't have Zoom then usually, like Monday, Wednesdays, we'll just have lab on Zoom,
Yeah.
correct? Okay.
Yeah, that, you know, and my reasoning behind that is I want to give you guys that flexibility, you know, of having that, you know, that time there to kind of be flexible and kind of do it at your own time. It's nice because like something like this, you know, trying it out, I might try to figure out some things to kind of make it a little bit better, more stable video and stuff. But, you know, we're learning as we go along, you know, how we can handle this. But I want to give you guys that time, that flexibility to do that. So I'll have stuff that's pre-recorded or, you know, stuff that you guys will look at, you know, in lieu of the lectures at noon. You know, so like I said, I'll do a video of, you know, the safety presentation. It's pretty straightforward. You can watch the video. I'll post the PowerPoint to it. So you can go through the PowerPoint, you can watch the video. And you guys just do that on your own time when it's convenient for you.
Thank you.
Anything else? All right, if you don't have anything, you guys are free to go. I'll hang out here for just a little bit. If you guys have any questions and you want to ask me one-on-one, we can absolutely do that. If not, I'll see you guys next week.